Right.
Meditation
well,
is definitely challenging.
We were supposed to talk about your workout, and we only got a couple of minutes left here. But real quick, in a minute run, what is your personal workout when you wake up in the morning?
Oh,
on a workout day.
Meditation.
Okay.
I do get that in just to calm the mind, and then I'll get up and I'll go to in the studio and I'll do probably 12 rounds of jump ropes, 1 minute 100 jumps.
Yeah, that's old school, man.
Yeah, that's old school. I love the old school workouts, and then I'll do pull-ups, push-ups.
That's definitely old school.
Light dumbbell workouts, and then I love the ab wheel for the core, planks. It all depends. It varies. It all depends on what mood I'm in. I don't do the same thing all the time.
Yeah, you need to shake it up a little bit.
Yeah,
sometimes
I need to shake
routine,
it.
right?
I get bored.
And it gives your muscles a different experience, too.
Definitely. But I do love hitting a heavy bag. I have a heavy bag. I hit the heavy bag. 5 3-minute rounds, which is exhausting.
And a great way to get frustrations out, too.
Yeah, definitely.
You have been listening to The Good Intention Show on the UI Radio Network. The Good Intention Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation at unitedintentions.org. Look for us on Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, and many more. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under United Intentions, and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Be sure to log on to unitedintentions.org, a virtual community where you learn to create, track, and manifest your passions, one intention at a time. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, live life with intent. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.
Tune in for laughs and surprises with The Boca Show. Sundays at 4, only on 1470 WNN. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our communities secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. We protect the homeland. We're always there when called upon, and in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida Army National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
What you want to know. What you need to know. Talk 1470 WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Shub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Shub, and like we typically do at this time on Friday night, we're going to talk a little bit of golf. We're going to talk some travel, and in just a couple of short minutes, we'll be chatting with our guest, who will be Julie Garner. She's the head women's coach at Rollins College, and we're going to be talking about her because she is in the process of being inducted into the WGCA Hall of Fame in just a couple of weeks. So we're going to find out about that and find out about the team over there at Rollins. Also, I will inform you a little bit about my recent travels. I'm just back from Las Vegas this week, my home away from home. So as always, I can fill you in on the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else, so you don't make mistakes when you book your trip to Las Vegas. And, of course, we've got some golf news, some travel news, and at the end of the show, I've got some of Dan's deals on travel for you. We've got some that are nearby and some that are not so nearby, and we're going to send you away on the cheap if that's what you like, and I know I like that. So hopefully we can come up with some cool places for you to go to and save a few bucks while you do it. So without any further ado, I think we're going to talk a little bit of golf, and I'm not going to talk about the tour this week. I always explain that sometimes it doesn't make too much sense because the show rebroadcasts on Sunday evenings at 6 o'clock on our sister station, WSBR, 740 AM, 96.9 FM, and 103.9 FM down here in South Florida. Of course, streaming on WSBRradio.com, or you can find their app on the App Store, the WSBR app, and, of course, the WNN app that you're listening tonight. You can also use, as well as over the air on 1470 AM and 95.3 FM, or WWNNradio.com. You can pick up the stream there, too. But when we talk about the golf, sometimes if you tune in later in the week, it's kind of yesterday's news, and I'd rather not do that tonight. So instead, we'll talk about some other golf news, both locally as well as national and internationally, that I thought was interesting, and hopefully you all will too. Something that we've been talking about on and off for the past several months was the fact that they were talking about getting rid of Melreese Country Club down in Miami, which is the only city-owned golf course in Miami, and instead turning it into a soccer stadium. And it ended up on a referendum on Election Day, and it seems that it was approved to go ahead and close down the club and turn it into a soccer stadium. So unfortunately for all of you golf fans who like to play at this municipal park that had a real lot of history, and a lot of kids worked out and trained there as well, I guess it's going to be going by the wayside. So that's a sad day for the golfers of the Miami area. Also, speaking of municipal golf courses, there's been a lot of talk for the recent past about the redevelopment plan for the West Palm Beach Municipal Golf Course, which also has a long, storied history, but has been closed down now for the past 15 maybe less than 15 years, but it's been closed for quite some time to be redeveloped. There was some sort of a plan to reopen it as a golf course, possibly with a Top Golf location there as well. And while that was not on up for election on Election Day, the city of West Palm Beach's city commission voted to withdraw the request for proposal that had been provided for the redevelopment of the golf course. I'm not quite sure why. A lot of people were excited about the plans that seemed to be going forward, but I guess the city commission was not. So it doesn't mean that hope is gone for this golf course being redeveloped into something else that golfers can use and appreciate, which is obviously good for the local economy. Palm Beach County is known as the golf capital of the world, but there are many other places that are or have caught up a little bit, so you can't continue to allow golf course properties to close down and decay if you want to maintain being at the top of mind for golfers who want to vacation and travel to your area. So hopefully West Palm Beach will get their act together and get that redevelopment back on track again soon. A little bit further away from where I'm sitting here in Boca Raton, over in the Tampa area, they have a really good event on the PGA Tour called the Valspar. And every year they have a concert there. At least they have for the past several years. I believe since 2015. It's always a country act, and it takes place on the Saturday night of the event. And they just made the announcement who it's going to be this year. So in past years, in 2015, they had the band Perry. 2016, Rascal Flatts. 2017 was Toby Keith. Last year was Jake Owen and Dustin Lynch. The first time they had dual headliners, and they announced that this year, after the third round of play on Saturday, March 23rd, at around 6:30 p.m., they will be presenting Brad Paisley. So anybody who is a fan of golf and a fan of Brad Paisley, you don't have to pay extra for the concert if you have a ticket for the golf, so it might present a good opportunity. Let's face it, he's got 3 Grammy Awards, 2 American Music Awards, 14 Academy of Country Music Awards, and 14 Country Music Association Awards. So this guy's got the credentials, so you may want to go check that out, and we'll talk about it more, I'm sure, as it gets closer. They are having their media day in February, and of course I'll be in Las Vegas. So I will not get to play the Copperhead, which is a great course. I've played it before. I wish I could play it again. Speaking about some of the personalities in the world of golf, Rory McIlroy, he moved not so long ago over to the Bear Club in Jupiter, and he had to sell his old house in Palm Beach Gardens, which I believe was just about a 3-wood away from my office, just on the other side of the turnpike, actually. And he just sold it, I guess, this week. Actually, this was not the one that was by me on the turnpike. This was his waterfront mansion. He owns several properties in the Palm Beach area. Sold it for $11.5 million, which is less than what he paid for it 6 years ago. He paid, so he lost a little bit of money, but which is unusual because typically when somebody famous buys a house, other people want to live in it. I suppose it has some sort of cachet. So, but the real estate market with raising interest rates, I guess, is a little bit soft right now. Also, some personalities on the tour. Justin Rose, who was the number 1 player in the world for like a week, and he was just dropped back down to second, but he has decided to leave TaylorMade as his sponsor providing his clubs, and he's expected to sign with Hanma. And Hanma is not a household name or a word that kind of slips off your tongue, I guess. They're very, very high-end clubs that are made in Japan. I've hit them at the PGA merchandise show. I can't afford to buy them, and they weren't giving me any for free, but I have to tell you, they make an excellent product. So my guess is this is not a deal just for him to put a few bucks in his pocket. He probably really likes the clubs, would be my guess, and hopefully that's the case, because I would hate for him to sell out for the money and then have it affect his game. So hopefully that won't be the case. This past week, it seems, actually this week at the Mayakoba Golf Classic, Zach Johnson's caddy got dehydrated out on the golf course and couldn't finish with several holes left to go and needed somebody to fill in for him. It was Damon Green as his caddy. So he was suffering from heat exhaustion. And Matt Kuchar volunteered his wife to fill in. I guess she must have done it for him before, and she kind of knows how to handle it. And interestingly enough, as soon as she got on the bag, Zach lost a couple of more strokes to par. He was playing very well with her, so he may have to make that permanent, although I'm not sure how Matt Kuchar would feel about that. Also in the news, I guess we have to cover a little bit of Tiger Woods news because, first of all, he lives right here in Palm Beach County, and second of all, he's Tiger Woods. So the first bit of news is about his own event, the Hero World Challenge event, which is going to be taking place in just a couple of weeks, I believe, later on this month. It seems it's an invitational, of course. His field will have 16 of the top 23 players in the world, including himself, and it's being played in the Bahamas, not too far away. Some of the players that will be playing include Justin Rose, who we were just talking about, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau, defending champion Ricky Fowler, Masters winner previous winner, not this year so much, Patrick Reed, John Rahm is going to be playing, one of my favorites, Tommy Fleetwood, and Alex Noren will all be playing. It's a $3.5 million purse, begins at the Albany Golf Club in Nassau on November 29th. And the other bit of Tiger Woods news was, rumor has it that he has turned down the largest check he's ever been offered for appearance money to play in an event. And we're not sure, or the reports are not sure, the reasoning behind it. It could be twofold. The event is in Saudi Arabia, and obviously the first thing you might question is his ability to fly so far away with his back troubles. But the other thing that it could be is the fact that they like to kill journalists over there in Saudi Arabia. I'm afraid to go there myself because, let's face it, I must be an enemy of the state for talking about the things I talk about. But in any event, it could have been a PR kind of a thing. It might have been perceived as negative by his fan base and the media. But one way or another, kudos to Tiger if he did take a stand, because I think more people need to take a stand to prevent journalists from being murdered. Let's face it, what I report on isn't quite as important as what some other people report on, but without a free media, this world will not be a good place to live in as far as I'm concerned. So, and on that note, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsor, but stay tuned because we're going to be talking in just a moment or two with Julie Garner, the head women's golf coach at Rollins College. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more of the Golf and Travel Show.
I'm not smart enough. My resume's not up to date. They'll never pick someone like me. No one's hiring right now. Sound familiar? Don't let you get in the way of landing your next job opportunity. Sometimes it's best to leave it up to the experts. Did you know that the last reported job openings in the U.S. as of this recording was a series high of 6.7 million jobs, and that 1.1 million of those jobs were left unfilled? This means that there's a potential opportunity that's just right for you. And at Labor Finders, we're committed to helping you find it. Whether you're entering the workforce or looking for supplemental income in a job that starts right away, we've got you covered. With over 300,000 clients across the U.S. and 20,000 active daily workers, we have the network and the experience to get you your next job. Contact one of our nearly 200 offices today to see how we can help in your job search. Simply visit us online at www.laborfinders.com or connect with us on social media by searching the username LaborFinders.
And we are back. And as I mentioned earlier, to talk to somebody who's had the kind of career that's Hall of Fame credentials is just something that I want to share with all of you. I don't always get a chance. Not long ago, my buddy I spoke to made it into the Table Tennis Hall of Fame. So obviously there are Hall of Fames for different sports to recognize folks that have done something truly special. So our guest tonight is one of those folks. And to find out a little bit more about the career that is going to be a Hall of Fame career now, we've got the golf coach at Rollins College, the women's golf coach, Julie Garner. Julie, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And just briefly, before we talk specifically about golf and your coaching career, for the folks who are listening, why don't you just tell us a little bit about Rollins College? Because I know a little bit about it. Some people know, but it's kind of like a secret to some people as well. So the folks that don't know about Rollins College, why don't you explain a little bit about it?
Well, we're a small private liberal arts institution in Winter Park, which is about 10 minutes north of downtown Orlando. We are on the shores of Lake Virginia. It's been voted one of the most beautiful campuses in the country. It's also academically rigorous and very highly regarded in that scheme as well. I think it's one of the top regional universities in U.S. News and World Report every year, and we've been very fortunate from the golf standpoint and from athletics that we've been a part of 13 national championships in women's golf history, and I think the athletic department at Rollins has won 24 overall. So we have a lot of great success stories, both academically and athletically, and it's a fantastic place. I've had some opportunities to look at some other places, and I just think that what Rollins has to offer is in lockstep with my core values as a coach and a person, and so I've never really I have left. I've worked in outside of coaching twice. I worked for Disney and then worked for Nike Golf, but other than that, I've only coached at Rollins, and there's a pretty good reason for that, is it's really a fantastic spot.
Okay, so now that we know that Rollins is a great place, why don't you explain a little bit about what it means to you to be a golf coach there, working with the students, and as opposed to, you said you left a couple of times to kind of go out to corporate America, but came back. So what is it that's so special about coaching women golfers at Rollins?
Well, there's a tremendous tradition of success in the program. Like I said, we've won 13 national titles, and I've been fortunate to be a part of 6 of those, but there were 7 of them before I got there. So there were some fantastic athletes that came through the doors there, and it probably started with the late and great Peggy Kirk-Bell, my mentor in life and golf.
Mm-hmm. I've met her.
One of the first probably really highly regarded players that came through there, and I really think she paved the way for a lot of the ones who came after her. Pete and Alice Dye met at Rollins, and obviously they've had a little bit of success in their life in golf. And Hollis Stacy was an alum. Muffin Spencer Devlin, Barbara McIntyre, Betty Probasco, Marlene Street, who's in the World Golf Hall of Fame, is also an alum. So it's just been, it obviously, being in Central Florida, it's a great place for golf, and Rollins was one of the first colleges to really embrace intercollegiate golf, altogether. So, yeah, it just kind of has started with Mrs. Bell and just has continued over the years. And I've had, obviously, the great fortune to coach some fantastic student athletes. Charlotte Campbell Dawn is probably the most successful athlete in the history of Rollins sports. She was a National Player of the Year all 4 years of her career, which is, obviously, you can't do much better than that. So yeah, I think it's just a combination of a great geography, fantastic education, and then, obviously the opportunity to interact with some fantastic alums and boosters, and just the community in Orlando as well.
Now, when you were a little bit younger, did you have aspirations of playing pro golf on your own?
Well, I think I considered it briefly. My ex-husband was a PGA Tour and at the time Hogan Tour player, and had some success in his own right. And I just felt like probably 2 pro golfers in the family was more than enough. And I don't think I really had what it would take. The discipline and the motivation and really the grit to be a professional athlete. It's only gotten harder, I think, as the competition has gotten greater. So I think I kind of understood that I was better off in a capacity of mentoring and that sort of thing, rather than maybe being the one actually in the arena.
Now, how do you handle the pressure of your players? Do you live vicariously through them and celebrate their victories? Do you really get torn up over the losses? How close is it to you?
Well, I think when I was younger, I got more torn up about wins and losses than I do now. As I get older, the thing that I'm more probably focused on is really helping them start a path to their life success, whatever that is. If they want to turn professional, if they want a graduate school program, if they want to start a career, internships, whatever it is, we try to help them kind of define what their passion is, what their version of success in their life is, and then really start to help them on that path. And so between that and just keeping them safe and sound are probably way more important to me at this point in my life than it was, say, 20 years ago. And not to say that winning's not important. I'm probably the most competitive person around, but as you get older, you value the relationships, and you value kind of what kind of impact these young people will have on the world, and in accordance with what it is that they want to pursue in that regard.
Now, coaching golf at Rollins, I guess it's different from the pressures of, say, coaching basketball at Kentucky, where, people come and they stay for a year and then they leave to, find fame and fortune as a professional or whatever. So you actually, I'm guessing, get 4 years with your students to actually have a bigger impact on their life.
For sure. I think it would be a little disingenuous to be a coach at Rollins and to be in the one and done sort of mentality. We're really looking, like I said, we want them to establish, to have a meaningful life and a rewarding career and that sort of thing. And that involves more than 1 or 2 years. It involves really the 4 years that it takes you to mature and to really understand really to become, you know, who you want to become and that sort of thing. And you can't really see that in a year or so, and you certainly can't see that if you're being judged on as a player or a coach is how many conference championships you've won, how many national championships. I think that winning and success are byproducts of buying into the process of getting better as players, getting better as people, getting better as students. And I think that all of that kind of leads to, hopefully, the success that you'll have on the course.
Now, for our listeners, is there something that you can provide to them that's maybe a little bit of your coaching style or an emphasis, something that you think is like most important for your players?
Well, I think almost without exception, I would think almost any coach at a higher level would say the quickest way to improve your scoring or to improve your game is really to improve your short game. I mean, anything inside 100 yards. I always say inside 100 yards, inside 50 yards, inside 10 yards, and inside 6 feet. And I think if you can really focus on improving that part of your game, it really improves your scoring faster than any sort of, you know, workout routine or improving your technique or whatever. I mean, of course, mechanics are important, but the ability, I think and I think along with the short game improvement is the self-awareness and self-moderation that you hope you get through emotionally resilient type of players. I mean, the ones who have the grit to kind of persevere and kind of see past the, you know, occasional missteps or a small slump or whatever it is, and just realize that hard work, the right type of hard work, pays off. And so we really try to focus on improving short games, and I think we saw a little bit of improvement in that from our team in the final event of the fall that we hosted at the Country Club of Orlando, which is a beautiful Donald Ross course here in town that we hosted. I think all 14 of the teams we had were in the top 25 in the coaches rankings. So it was a great way to kind of see where we were and where they were. And sure enough, I think the increased focus on our short games probably helped us a little bit. We finished third in the tournament, which in that field, we were pleased with that.
So being inducted into the WGCA Coaches Hall of Fame, that's obviously quite an honor. Why don't you just explain a little bit about what that means to you?
Well, it's an incredible honor, and it's, I think I'm the 51st inductee, which, and I guess technically the first Division II coach, which is even a bigger honor than that. And I'm pleased for our program more than anything. I mean, it sounds like an individual honor, and it'll be my name on the plaque or whatever, and it'll be me at the dais accepting it. But honestly, this is really an incredible recognition for what Rollins program has meant over the decades. I mean, all the way back to Peggy Kirk Bell. I mean, I'll say it until the end, that I'm the one who gets to drive the bus and pay the bill at Starbucks for the most part. That, you know, I'm the benefactor, as is our current team, of all the work and all the people that have come before us. And so for me, I mean, that's really what this award means, is that it's an incredible validation of our program and a national stage for a small school in Winter Park to really have some recognition. But I mean, obviously we've had some great success along the way, but like I said, there was plenty of success before I got here, and there'll be plenty of success after I'm gone. So, you know, I'm just fortunate to be the one, you know, in charge at the moment, and I'm honored to be able to stand up there and accept that award on behalf of all of the students and coaches who'd come, and really the community who'd come and supported this program over the decades.
And you don't have to retire to be in the Hall of Fame, I'm assuming, so you're still going to stay as a coach?
No, you do not have to be retired. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. The President Grant Cornwell is actually going to introduce me at the induction, so maybe he's going to offer me some sort of golden parachute.
I was going to say he should at least give you a raise.
Well, that'd be great. But, maybe we should call him in on the other line here. But they've been awfully good to me, and like I said, I'm honored to accept it on behalf of the college and on behalf of our department. But it's a great culmination, I guess. I guess it's the pinnacle of a career, but I'm hoping I'm not done yet, that we've got some good players that, want to learn, and I want to help them. So,
well, if nothing else, you got more street cred, I think, now.
Okay, that's good to know. I like that. I can always use more of that. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some time with us tonight. Congratulations on your upcoming induction, and keep winning up there. Keep coaching those kids and turning them into